Welcome to Deep Thought. Always been intrigued by the Superman. The Superman. Now, let me be clear. It doesn't mean, some guy from another planet flying around, with this super strength. I mean, okay, yeah, that's good for entertainment, comics, movies, all of that. Shoot, clothing. Some people be wearing that Superman symbol. No, notice I said the Superman. Even how I put it in the title. Normally, if I put the word "the" in the title, is lower caps. I put "the" and capitalize it. The Superman, and this is going back to when I first learned about Friedrich Nietzsche, and he talked about the Ubermensch, the Overman, the man who's above the crowds. Like, I've always been fascinated by basically that man who rises above everyone else. I've always been fascinated because that's always been a personal thing with me, to rise above the ordinary. So when I see it in others, in other fiction, or in real life, I'm always fascinated by that, always intrigued and everything, because I've seen it in fiction. Like, if you think about, one place I used to love the fiction of, I haven't got into the books lately. After a while, they started getting the same. But the Alex Cross novels by author James Patterson. Like, Alex Cross, it was interesting. A black man, a black character that was written by a white guy. But I found out where the white guy went to school, which is the same high school I went to, Carroll. And I was like, oh, okay, he's definitely been around some brothers, because the nuances were too accurate for a white guy. I was like, wow. But Alex Cross was an extraordinary man. Physically, they said he was described as looking like Muhammad Ali, pretty boy, a detective. He was sharp, high level genius. He was a Superman. And I noticed, especially in the earlier Alex Cross books, the guys he would go against were similar. And in fact, I read something by James Patterson that became before the Alex Cross books, and he had some characters, some bad guy characters. They were extraordinary. They were above the masses and stuff. If you look in certain spiritual systems and everything, whether it's the three levels of man, by like in the Confucianism and Taoism, the inferior man, the superior man, the sage, the superior man and the sage are above the masses and everything. They talked to you, different groups talked about it in the Meta of by Shechem or Shechem, Ra Nephilim, Amen, the first of the Asar Suset Society. He talks about the Sahu man. Those are like the masses, the man-ob, that man operating at that higher level, and the Ba man, which is equivalent to the sage. And, just a man rising above it. Think about it, even in this society, you have a lot of juvenile men and women. I mean, I'm using the term man, but it applies to women as well. And you have a lot of juvenile men. We'll say man, because I'm talking about the Superman. A lot of men who are just ordinary. They won't do anything extraordinary. They follow the crowd and everything. But then you have some men on multiple levels who rise above it. If you talk about, there's so many levels to it, and people use so many analogies and everything to talk about it. Because the one thing, and I'll just say from a personal perspective, just how I grew up and everything, it wasn't normal. It wasn't average, It was like, and even just from a personal perspective, and I'm not saying this to brag, but, had a high IQ. I read on a graduate school level in the 6th grade and everything. Math is average, though, but my reading comprehension was extremely high. In fact, when I was 7 years old, I remember, now I'm at a mostly predominantly black school. For those from the D.C. area, Ketchum Elementary. And I remember it was me and we had a couple other kids, a white kid and an Asian kid. We were brought out of class and we were given a bunch of stuff to look at. And we were given like some symbols and stuff to arrange them and everything. It was some type of test. They didn't tell us a test, but looking back in, it was some type of IQ test. And I still don't know the purpose of it because I didn't hear anything about results or anything. But it was me. It was a white kid and an Asian kid. Probably Korean looking back at it because we had Koreans starting to set up shop back then. But and I thought about it and I was just like, And well, let's just say I did well on those like SATs. I took the SAT once and oh man, I had schools lined up for me. I barely remember my score too. I only took it once and wasn't even serious about it and stuff. And I had scholarship offers from several Ivy League schools, and even an offer to apply from West Point. Yeah. But I was never meant to be normal or just average. And, it always fascinated me to see individuals like that, the polymath, that superior athlete who was also highly intelligent, the genius bruiser. But then looking at when, at some point, as I was coming up there, found out about Nietzsche and, the overman, Ubermensch and everything, and how that affected, how that touched on, philosophies like Nazism and fascism. And it was like incredible. Like you have that like in different cultures, but just that man who's above the masses and everything and stuff. And like I said, and it's usually through their will to power, through their efforts. It's not always, they ain't born that way. They ain't not like some mutant or something like that or from some faraway doomed planet. But, and they might have some natural talent and you got those, but then what do you do with it? Because you have some people, okay, like with the IQ thing, you got some high IQ individuals who are basically material failures in life, but they know that information. So it's more to it, and I've used the term genius bruiser, which, to be clear, I didn't invent. That's a TV trope, like that highly intelligent man who's also a physical prodigy. So it's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing. It's always been fascinated with it. And even people who've gone to self-improvement summits and everything, they know I'll talk about the superior man and how every man has to rise above wherever he's at. But I've always been intrigued by that. I've always been intrigued. And whenever I come across that type, like one of my favorite characters is the character Midnight from the Sister Soldier books. He's pretty much a Superman, even though he's a teenager and stuff. But, he's extremely physically attracted to women, highly intelligent and everything, hustler money, just that thorough dude. It's always been intrigued by that. And, something to think about. Something to think about. So anyway, y'all, that's all I got for now. And get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.